Hello, everyone. We will be interviewing Jay Chaudhry today. He is the CEO, chairman, and founder at Zscale. Welcome, Jay. How is your day?
Thank you. Great.
Before we get started, I'd like to introduce Jay. Jay is a very prominent entrepreneur and needs no introduction. He is a very successful serial entrepreneur, having founded Zscaler, Air Defense, Cypher Trust, Core Harbor, and Secure IT. He is a trusted name in the security technology industry and advisor to many enterprise CIOs and CISOs. He has more than 25 years of security industry experience. He has been honored as an Ernst& Young Entrepreneur of the Year, an Information Week Innovator and Influencer, and SC Magazine Market Entrepreneur. Jay has earned his BTech in Computer Engineering from IIT BHU, MS in Computer Engineering and Industrial Engineering and MBA from University of Cincinnati. He has also been uh, bestowed with Distinguished Alumnus Award from IIT BHU. He has also done an executive management program from Harvard. We're, we're very happy to have you, Jay, today. Thank you.
Thank you. Very much appreciate the opportunity.
So, the first question for you is Jay, you have been an inspiration to entrepreneurial world. Would you like to start interview with your journey from IIT BHU to being a successful entrepreneur? Can you please take us through those memory lanes? What actually made you an entrepreneur?
Yes. You know, at IIT, when I was going there, we all used to talk about going to the US for master's degree. Right? In fact, when I joined IIT from my tiny village, I did not even know what IIT was. But at IIT, we had a great group of people, great group of teachers. So I applied. The only option I had was to really choose a school that gave me tuition scholarship and research assistantship. And that I got my scholarships and I joined University of Cincinnati in Ohio to do master's in what they called computer engineering. And that was my master's. And then I started working full time for a small software company in Cincinnati itself. And I went back part time to do my second master's because I said, let me make good use of my evenings. And then I joined MBA because I heard that engineers are blamed for not being good managers or marketeers. So I did my MBA part time as well. Once I'd done that, then I wanted to get into sales and marketing. So I called IBM locally in Cincinnati. They hired me in sales. IBM was a great company for sales trainings. So they actually converted me from an engineer to a business person. From there, I moved to NCR to do, I was director of marketing at NCR. So moving from sales to marketing. From there, I moved to Unisys to be the VP of sales and marketing for the software products division. And after that, I joined a small company in Atlanta, a public company that did query and reporting tools for databases. And that was interesting because as number two man there, I could see the whole way how business was run. And I applied lots of marketing and sales things I learned at IBM and Unisys and NCR. And at that time, this was 96 timeframe, I was reading about World Wide Web. The Mozilla browser was just introduced. Netscape had just gone public. And I just started reading everything about startups. And then I asked myself, why couldn't I do a startup? Even though I have no background of entrepreneurship in my family, my parents were small scale farmers in a small village. But that reading, that learning got me excited. And I started my first company, Secure IT in Atlanta. I looked for a new area where no one had done anything and looking for a first mover advantage. And since I knew raising money will be hard in Atlanta, so I said, let's do a services company rather than a product company. And even for services company, I couldn't really raise any money. So my wife and I talked. We said, let's put our life savings on the line. If it works, it's great. If it doesn't, we can always find a job. The interesting thing was, she also quit her job. She was working at Bell South at that time. The goal was, let's burn the bridges behind so there's no turning back. This was probably the best and the biggest gamble of our lives. And it paid off. Secure IT became very successful. Eventually, VeriSign bought it. And I said, wow, this is so great. It must be a fluke. Can I really do a company systematically again? Then I moved on to do 3 more companies. I staggered them just like having kids. Core Harbor, an e-procurement ASP company using Ariba software. Cipher Trust, an email security gateway company. Air Defense, a wireless security gateway company. Uh, with lots of hard work, good luck, great teams, they all became quite successful and eventually got acquired like most startups. And after that, I was ready to do something lasting, something big, because I did not want to do one more company and just sell it. So that led me to Zscale.
So how did you find Zscaler? If I remember it right, actually you didn't seek any funding even for Zscaler, right? You funded it yourself. So how did you go about that journey?
So, the first company, I couldn't get funding. I tried. So after the first company, I had plenty of liquidity. So I didn't seek any funding for any of my companies after that. And to some degree, when you put your own money with conviction, you can do what you want to do because you don't have VCs breathing down your neck every 3 months to say, what have you done? Also, I believe I can take bigger risks with my own money than someone else's money. So it was good.
And you have actually been focusing on the user side of things than the network side of stuff, right? If you look at your email, it was user centric, right? And behavioral patterns that you did in trusted source, that was more about site management and the reputation thing. So what is it that told you that focus on the users, not on the where the rest of the people were trying to focus?
Yeah, see, there has been a lot of investment and efforts on network security because in a traditional world, there is a network is important, applications connect to the network, users connect to the network. That's how users can get to the application. But when I looked at where the world was headed, I said applications will be anywhere and everywhere, Office 365 or Azure, AWS. Those should be viewed as destinations. Users could be working from anywhere, from home, coffee shop, no matter where they are. And quite often they'll go over the internet to get to those applications. So in that world, internet will become your network, which you don't control. And if you don't control it, how do you secure it? So I said, forget about network security. Because what is there about network security? At the end of the day, it's about securing data. And the data is sitting either with or behind applications, or it's sitting with users. So we said, we are going to really build and call it electronics exchange, where a user is securely connected to an application or service, period. Every user is untrusted, and applications are simply destinations. And the notion of I am on the network, I'm off network disappears. So it was thinking outside the box, it was thinking differently. And now everyone is talking about zero trust. Even though we did not use the word zero trust on day one, the notion was you go through us, we are a switchboard, and you connect to the right application or service. So very simple, because we focused on protecting data rather than worrying about the network. I think it's a smart decision. And that's really what sets us apart, because the architecture fundamentally changes if you're trying to build security around the network. So we said network is simply a transport. It's plumbing, nothing more than that. So that's why we don't do network security.
That's great. And I've seen that you actually have around 100 data centers all over the world. So
About 150, yeah.
150 now? Oh, that's great. So you're bringing the network, like the access points closer to the users. So how did COVID and how is your growth related to during the COVID times?
Yeah, I would say so. With 150 locations, we can enforce policy. So it's call it the edge. We are doing policy enforcement at the edge rather than a few locations. And that's because you want fast user experience. If the user has to go through a few choke points, then things will be slow. So that's just a distributed architecture. Salesforce can have only a few data centers and still do well because Salesforce is a destination. We are not a destination. We're sitting in your traffic path, all traffic paths. So we need to be totally distributed. That's the first point. The second, with COVID, every employee had to work from home. That means either they had to do VPN to go back to the headquarters, get on the network, and then get out to go to Office 365 or Teams or Zoom, or from home, they could go directly over the simple broadband connection to Zscaler's nearest data center, where we enforce security and policy, and you go direct and go fast. So COVID accelerated what we have been talking about. We have always said you should be able to go direct from wherever you are. It shouldn't matter if you're sitting at home or coffee shop or in the office, you're always viewed as untrusted and you go through a security checkbox. So my team was very busy for the first few months after COVID shutdown because we had to keep on really provisioning more and more capacity to our data center to take care of millions and millions of users who are being provisioned to go through us. In many ways, it's very satisfying, it's very gratifying to see that we are able to help people to work from home, which is important for the economy because economic activity is needed. And that's needed for the livelihood of millions of people. And we were able to play a small role for that.
Yeah, thank you. So you have been bringing innovations to the security technologies with the companies that you've founded so far. What do you think will be the next big shift in security? You have already talked about some of the past journey and would like to see where it's going in the next uh, few years. So how do you envision the next 2, 5, and 10 years protection?
Incremental innovations happen all the time, but mega disruptive innovations happen only every 10, 15, 20 years. I think we are going through the big innovation. We started advocating a while ago, but now it's actually uh, coming to the forefront, which is trusted, essentially a zero trust approach, where you don't trust the user, you don't put applications on the network. And I look at this being in the very early stage of the journey. I think for the next 10 years, this approach is going to work very well from architecture point of view. Now, there will be lots of new innovations as we are collecting more and more data. For example, with Zscaler, all communication of users to applications, even application to application, goes through our switchboard, our exchange. So with that, I mean, we are doing about 150 billion transactions a day. I mean, it's massive amount of traffic. To give you a relative data point, Google searches, there are about 8 to 9 billion Google searches in a day.
That's
So look at how many times, it's about 15, 20 times more transactions we do. That's because when any employee, say from Siemens or Shell, needs to go anywhere, whether they go to Salesforce or they do Google search or they go to CNN or they go to BBC, everything goes through us. The volume is massive. Now, with all of that traffic, every transaction has a log entry. Those logs have tons of meaningful information. And AI and machine learning is making it easier to really mine that information to get useful information, whether it is about some unusual or suspicious traffic behavior of users or its applications, or it could be in business intelligence. So we believe the AI and machine learning has a lot of opportunity to offer to make better decisions for business and security, all these areas. That's one big area I think that has tons of potential for several years to come.
So most of the administrative security controls are about more like allow or deny kind of a thing, right? But more of the attack vector side of things are going to be captured with AI and ML and other stuff. So where do you see this fixed nature of rule specification versus the learning capabilities coming, and how are they going to offset each other?
Yeah, see, good security should never need a policy. Allow or deny is really meant for some of the web filtering policy, who can go where, who can't go where. To me, that's not even security. When customers use Zscaler, they don't really have to go and configure security. Our job is if something is malicious, something is bad, if there's a phishing link or there's ransomware or whatever the case may be, it's our job to detect it and block it. So security actually requires very little configuration. Filtering rules that says, I want to make sure my employees don't go to liable sites, such as adult sites, gambling, guns, hatred, violence type of stuff. Those are allow and block kind of stuff to minimize liabilities for the company. But a good security product should have minimal or hardly any configuration setup. Now, you may have a few things to be set up if you need to inspect SSL traffic because more and more traffic is encrypted. You need to do some level of configuration. But by and large, our goal is don't really have to do anything. You send the traffic, you turn on security, and we do the rest.
That's so cool because actually the configuring itself is a huge task and it's prone to human error also, right?
Mm.
So we've seen a lot of that happen in the past. So yeah, that's good. So Jay, there are a lot of alumni, students, and a whole lot of people out there who are dreaming of becoming an entrepreneur like you and also being very successful like you. What is your advice going to be for them?
I like to say entrepreneurship is fun if you want to do, if you're passionate about it. If you're doing it to get rich quick, you'll be disappointed. So develop a passion for something because it's a long road. Okay. Yes, we think of this company got built and sold in 1 year or 2 years, but those are rare things. Okay. Real successful companies take longer time. And try to start business in an area where you got some level of core competency. Without good core competency, you can't really do it. And try to think outside the box. Don't try to build something that's already built. You become a me too. Okay. I always like disruptive stuff. I like to think outside the box. Don't do things the way they have been done before. Try to do it in a and better way that's kind of is far more effective and probably easier to use and whatnot type of stuff. So yeah, take it seriously. Also, many times people think it can be done on the side. It doesn't. It needs all the focus and attention. And having a great team to start with, right? It's very hard for one person to do it. Having a partner or two who are actually with you and who complement your skill set, it becomes a lot easier.
Thank you. And anything else that you think we should have asked you today and didn't ask, but something that you'd like to share?
I think I would like to say that overall, if you enjoy something, you start learning more and more about it. The more you learn about it, the better you get at it. And if you want to do a startup, I think that level of understanding of the topic and then the customers is very important. A lot of us get excited about cool technologies, but some of the best technologies are often marketed. So to be successful, you need to have a real passion for getting to know your customers. Okay. I mean, I make lots of customer calls. Okay. Every week, I'm talking to a dozen to 15 customers. Okay. And if your technology is successful in solving some real customer problems, I mean, you will actually get good traction. If your technology is only 15, 20% better than the competition, you are overestimating what it can do because the competition will catch up pretty quickly. And some of these big companies, they can still sell stuff that may be 20, 30% inferior than you have. So you should be thinking about whatever you're building. Is it a game changer? How does it fundamentally change the way things are being done? That's what's needed, because that also give you a runway to build a business and have some gap from the competitors who are trying to catch up with you. But I encourage you to try it. I think unless you try, it doesn't happen. But you need to try it with some serious commitment and make sure you're willing to persist and make it happen.
No, this is a great advice. Thank you so much. Because most of our young alums, they actually are more tech savvy, so they go do build the product and then they later look for making that customer calls. So this is going to be a great advice, and yeah, I'm pretty sure your advice will be taken very seriously, and by most of the young alums especially. So,
Well, we are all learning. I learn every day.
so thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Jay. So,
Great.
so thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I very much appreciate the opportunity, and good luck.